We've heard all of the reasons before. It's either too expensive, or it's too confusing, or it's just downright too difficult to build a gaming PC, or to find an affordable gaming PC that's already built, or to have one built for you. But one of the biggest issues with PC gaming as a platform isn't even any of those aforementioned things. It's actually this, and we're going to talk about it. What's happening, YouTube and the internet? Terrence here, and we are back inside the lab. Actually, at the moment, I'm currently outside the lab, but that's just because it's a beautiful day, and I'm bringing to you a tech vlog where we highlight one of the most biggest issues that PC gaming has as a platform, right? One of the biggest reasons why gamers are reluctant or hesitant to make the transition, say, over from a console over to the platform as a whole. And yes, just like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, PC gaming is perceived to be initially expensive to get into, but we know there are ways around that, ways that we talk about a lot here in this community, to which, if you're a first-time viewer, do me a favor first and foremost, even if you're a returning viewer and subscriber, hit the like button for me. Let's get this message out in front of as many people as possible. And if you're not subscribed yet to the channel, also do me a favor and hit the subscribe button down below on a personal journey, or I guess you could say a mission to reach 5,000 subscribers. But yeah, as I was saying, PC gaming is expensive. PC gaming has always been expensive. It just costs a little bit more now than it ever has. The process to building a gaming PC hasn't necessarily changed, so the initial thought process to building a gaming PC has an extreme learning curve that most aren't willing to even try to overcome or learn how to do it themselves. But then you can always save up and grow your budget, or how much money you have to spend to build on a system, make your entry at your budget that you have, or the amount of money you have to work with. Or you could have somebody build your system for you, walk you through the whole entire process, from building to buying each component to just conceptualizing the build in general. So yes, you can save up your money and buy a system that's within the range of your budget, right? And that's the performance you expect from that system. If you aren't comfortable with building it yourself, then you could either pay somebody to do it for you, or you can buy a pre-built PC. So those aren't necessarily some of the biggest issues with PC gaming as a platform, and that is its cost and its technical learning curve one would have to overcome. One of the biggest issues PC gaming has as a platform, and this is from suppliers and manufacturers from all over the spectrum, and that is information overload. That is having customers and consumers having to constantly absorb as much information as possible. And this comes at a time, or during a time, where technology is either changing as fast as, at a rapid pace, or we're constantly getting introduced to, say, either new graphics cards or new CPU sockets. AM5, we're actually looking at you. And if you missed the vlog I did on AMD's Computex 2022 keynote, you can give that video a watch by clicking on the card right here, or clicking down the description box below. Or for example, Intel's socket changes about every 2 years. So if you're trying to keep up with what's either relevant, or I guess you could say relevant for your budget and the performance metric and output that you're looking for, this could turn you off very quickly. And this is one of the biggest issues PC gaming has as a platform, and that its naming scheme, right? It comes down to numbers and letters that are often sometimes juxtaposition between between each competitor. And then you start to realize, or you start to think, which of these items are either compatible with the components I've already bought, or how can I maximize my money, or how much value can I get with components that I need to buy. And then you somehow, in some way, find yourself lost in between, trying to manage both of those, I guess you could say, prospects to building your gaming PC, or to having your gaming PC built for you, or again, if you're buying a pre-built, which can also be just as confusing, because you have very limited say as to what goes into the system. You have almost next to no say of what goes into the system, unless it's a custom pre-built, to where you work with, and say, a system integrator to have your system done for you, and they're using components they have in their warehouse, and they're maybe giving you limited selections, but at least you're able to pick the CPU, the motherboard, the GPU, and other components that actually put the P in personal computer. But overall, a potential buyer or potential consumer, a gamer looking to break through onto this platform, could be initially turned off, and again, downright confused when they see two components of the same name, but with a slight variation attached to it. For example, Ryzen 5 3600 versus a 3600X, or a 5800 versus a 5800X, a 10900KF versus a 10900, a B660 motherboard versus a B550 motherboard, or AM4 socket and then the AM5 socket. Yes, AMD, we're still talking about you. And then the same thing could be said with graphics cards. Say like the RX 6600, then you have the 6600 XT, then a 6750 XT, or a 6900 XT, and then a 6600 or a 6600 XT. For a newcomer or someone who's not yet acclimated with the nomenclatures of PC components, this could be very intimidating. And so they have to go down a path of information overload just to understand the fundamentals of each component. That way they can justify its price. You want to know what you're buying. Most importantly, you want to know what you can expect to get out of it. This also boils down to trying to pick the right size case, or knowing which size case to get for your setup, and most importantly, your motherboard, and a right size case to accommodate any other components that you may want to buy, you may want to get, say versus a 240mm AIO or a 120mm AIO, all the way down to a case that may not even support a radiator. But cases can be fun to shop for. Me and Mrs. Ma, we took a trip down to Micro Center, which the quality of the video didn't turn out great, as my forward-facing camera on my iPhone seems to be, quitting out on me. But if you want to watch that video, I'll be sure to leave a link to it up here in the card, or you can find that link down in the description box below. But we recently went to Micro Center and we were just looking over some cases, and we were blown away by some of the cases that were on display in terms of how much they cost and the different sizes that they came in. This again could be very, very confusing for a first-time builder, even if this is somebody like you who I'm talking to right now, if you haven't built your first PC yet. If this could be very confusing for a first-time builder, to where they now have to reset, go back and do more research, and here comes that system overload once more, but they have to do more research and find out the right size case that they need for their components. And this could change. This could alter their budget entirety. Like if you didn't have enough initially for the case you wanted, or let's say you bought your motherboard and now it won't accommodate that case, or you bought a mini ITX motherboard and now you're interested in a larger form factor case. While it still will fit inside of the case, it just may look a little weird, as you'll have an exorbitant amount of space between the basement and say the top PCIe lane. Traditionally, if you buy a mini ITX motherboard or a smaller form factor motherboard, you want to go with a smaller form factor case. It's just going to complement the interior of the case once you fill it out with the rest of the components. But case shopping is fun. It's one of my favorite parts of the process to building a gaming PC, and that is shopping for a case. It's one of the reasons why, again, when I visit a Micro Center, I typically spend the majority of my time just glancing over the cases, getting an actual touch and feel for them, just actually experiencing the quality of the case within itself. So many of us don't have the opportunity to necessarily visit a Micro Center, and Micro Center doesn't ship. This is one of the reasons why they're able to have some of the sales they often do run, but Micro Center doesn't ship. So you have to be able to actually travel there to take advantage of the savings, or to actually experience some of the setups they have already built throughout the store, where you can actually jump into it and you can get a test, and you can fill out, or you can get a test and fill for different monitors or different setups. For example, you can look at some of the ultra wide monitors that are already on display if you never actually seen what an ultra wide monitor looks like in person. And that is because the majority of us, when we're actually shopping and we're putting together our list and we're trying to conceptualize our build around our already established budget, we are looking at static images of these components. We don't actually get the look, touch, feel, and smell of what they may look like in real life, especially for peripherals like your keyboard, your mouse, and your gaming headset, and your monitor, which again, your monitor is one of the first components you should buy for your system and or your setup. I'll also leave a link up to a video we did on that topic. You can find it up there, or also down in the description box below. But when you visit a Micro Center, you can actually see these components in real time. You can talk and get additional help. So it's much more than just a retail hub. It's actually a resource center. But when I visit Micro Center, I love shopping for cases, and then even when I'm helping potential clients and just helping others in the community and other audience members, when we're talking about cases, and especially when I have free reigns, when they tell me, you know what, I just want a case, maybe it can have RGB. It doesn't have to have RGB. I want it to have tempered glass or something to that aspect or something to that nature. Then I can actually try to discover a case that's not only workable for their budget, but one that's also a reflection of your personality that puts the P in personal computer, because that's essentially what it's all about. Now, with all the fun stuff out the way, that is shopping for your game, shopping for your parts, and just the overall process of conceptualizing your build, matching all the, getting the color scheme together. Again, that's the P in personal computer. We go back to the question at hand, or the statement at hand, and that is, what is one of the biggest issues with getting into PC gaming? And again, that goes back to the naming scheme, or how confusing it could be for new timers to break into the field or break into the industry to build a gaming PC, or buy a pre-built gaming PC. But one way to overcome this, and that is to use tools like PCPartPicker.com and similar tools like it that can help you assemble your build, help you research your parts, which you should spend an exorbitant amount of time researching your motherboard, because any and all questions you have about anything you need to install in your system can likely be answered there, all the way down to your chipset and CPU compatibility, to memory support, to M.2 supports, to PCIe Gen 4 or 3. It all starts with your motherboard. And while shopping for a graphics card is also fun, there's nothing wrong with that, because you can also choose a custom graphics card from, say, an add-in board maker. Those can be confusing as well too, knowing which graphics card comes with 6 gigabytes of VRAM, or 8 gigabytes of VRAM, or 10 gigabytes of VRAM, or 12 gigabytes of VRAM, or 24 gigabytes of VRAM, or 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and how much VRAM you may even need. So shopping for a graphics card can also be fun too, like shopping for a case, but sometimes it could be confusing to know which graphics card you may need for your individual needs. A pro tip I can share with you right now that we share regularly here in the community, and that is start with the games you want to play, and then also research the type of monitor that it will fit your playstyle and the type of games you want to play. Because you can be a high refresh rate gamer, like playing your games at like 144 FPS or higher, or 75 hertz, somewhere in the middle of high and low, or you might be a gamer that wants the most detail out of your graphics, say like 1440p or 2160p 4K. So again, all aspects of PC gaming as a platform can be confusing, say coming from someone who's making the switch over from console. And again, this could be a deterrence for them that won't even allow them to get motivated to get started. It's one of the reasons why my mission here on this channel is to help to provide as much information as possible to help those who are looking to make the switch over from console over to this platform, to help you get the most value for your money and the most performance out of your games. And again, hit the like button for me if you're getting value out of this video, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Hopefully I would have earned your subscription here to the Inside the Lab channel. But the hardest part to getting into PC gaming is actually getting started. So to get started on your journey, watch this video right here, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I do hope to catch you on the next one. So until then, be easy.